good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. Great to be back with you on the second day of the FMF conference and proceedings, a symposium, I should say, because we've gathered and we've spoken about incredible things and so much more to come. My name is Eleni Giakos. I'm an anchor and correspondent at CNN. And today, of course, we're going to be talking about delivering infrastructure to support mineral development. I'm delighted to welcome Mata Al-Harthi, Executive Vice President of Metals and Mining at Industrial Center here in Saudi Arabia, as well as Mohammed Al-Jada, Vice President, Strategy and Customer Experience at ESNAD. And I want to get right into it, because when we talk about infrastructure, when we talk about the water that mining companies need, the power supply, whether we're going to industrialize and create full downstream, what does that mean? How do we do it? But first and foremost, I would love to know, Mata, what you guys do at the Industrial Center and what you focus on.
First of all, thank you for having me. And it's a golden opportunity to speak to investor. I think NIDC is very known to most of the investors here in FMF. We are a government entity responsible, and our objective is to attract investment to Saudi Arabia, expand the industrial landscape, make sure that we have a competitive and sustainable industrial in Saudi Arabia. So we have a lot of things that we do it, and to provide the support to the investment and also to the investor. We do the business case, for example. So we build the business case initially. We create the investment opportunity, and we make sure that it's a good fit to our strategy, and it's making a win-win situation also for the investor and investment.
So you create the business case.
Yes.
It's ready to go, and investors can basically come take a look at that. And that's from mid to downstream, correct? That's mid to downstream. Midstream to downstream.
Midstream and downstream,
okay,
yes.
Fantastic. All right, so before all of that, Mohammed, you focus on the upstream side of things at ESNAD. So tell me about what you guys do.
Yes, we are at ESNAD. The first step for the investor or the mining investors who's willing to invest in mining. So he will start with his license, exploration license, then the license of the mine, and then up to the end of the investment, which is the license for closure of the mine. So we work with the investors the whole journey in the mining upstream section out of it. Not only that, also, we in ESNAD, we make sure that all investors are complying with the environmental and health and safety standards. They comply with financial also obligations that they have to the government. And we monitor all the mining activities, and we make sure that they are following the rules.
Fantastic. Okay, so I want to double click on that. I want to get more information. One thing we know for sure is that mining industry is very water intensive.
Yep.
It requires electricity, it requires other infrastructure and a different type of ecosystem. How do you facilitate that to make it easy for investors to come in? And that is really important part of the process.
We in ESNAD, we come up also with business cases for a certain, let's say, complexes that's in need of water or electricity. And we try to commercialize it in a way it will be feasible and financially viable for power investors to come and do an IBB projects, for example, for them, and supply for them water and electricity. But this is all depend on the the size.
And this is partially privatized, and that's really important.
This is, as I told you, we are working on.
Yeah.
But what we have today is most of the mining sites are supplied by power and water from either the grid, the national grid, or maybe we call it isolated islands. So the investor himself, he maybe buy diesel generators or something.
So you want to be off-grid basically as well?
Depends on the
Sometimes.
locations.
Depends.
The location, yeah.
Okay, interesting. One thing I'm curious about is how many people are knocking at your door right now for these opportunities? And tell me about the minerals.
I think when you speak
looking
about 2024, we have already completed 12 business cases worth approximately 14 billion US dollar. And today, when you talk about the pipeline in Saudi Arabia, we talk about roughly 99 billion Saudi riyal, and for 17 different investment, mainly in steel, copper, aluminum. So when you talk about how many investment, I think we have a lot of them. They come and we speak to them, and they are in our pipeline. You just for this conference, I think we have like 43 investors looking to meet with us, and we have already scheduled them during the conference. So you can imagine 43 for 3 days, and overall...
Is that a record?
Normally, you know, the success rate for most
Yeah.
of the investment is high. So we need to compare for the upstream, when you talk about the primary industries, which is capital intensive, we have limited, because when you talk about steel plant, it's only 1 or 2 steel plant you can do in Saudi Arabia. When you talk about aluminum, for example, we are looking for 2 or 3 smelters in Saudi. So roughly, when you talk about mega projects, they are limited in kind. So it's not something that we can create a business every day. But when you talk about the downstream, the small industries, I think we have a number of industries that we are working with them.
What's the business case? I'm curious about this. You know, when you say you're looking at business cases and you're looking at whether it's economically viable, would you say that Saudi Arabia is in a position to compete effectively with other countries, mega processing, places like the likes of China and so forth, from an economic perspective? I mean, do the numbers make sense?
Yeah, of course. I think once we make a business case, it should be a viable business case and competitive, because we are looking to make a competitive industry, and we need it to be to stay for long, and it's sustainable. So, for example, when you talk about different industries, that it's not positioned very well in Saudi Arabia, we rather not to involve in that industry, but we have so many industries, many commodity that we can explore in Saudi Arabia, and we have already a lot of discussion with the investors. As I told you, many of them in primary industries, but also in downstream. So when you talk about a business case, I just want to highlight this one. We create it internally just to make sure that we have a sense of how much it costs to make this investment in Saudi Arabia. So we need the cost from perspective of enabling this investment in Saudi Arabia, but also to see how much it required from land, from maybe power, from gas, from other utilities. So for us to be prepared for that investment to be realized in Saudi.
So you're like ready to go, basically. Okay, Mohammed, I want you to jump in here. His Excellency the Minister was talking about over $2.5 trillion worth of potential mineral and resources in Saudi Arabia. And I guess you're looking at it from a very different perspective, because you guys are the ones that are going to make it happen operationally and the infrastructure that's required. In your estimation, how quickly can this happen, do you believe, the infrastructure, the support? And is that translating into real opportunities, people knocking on your door and saying, look, we're really interested, we think there's prospect here?
It can happen very fast, but very fast the mining industry is
Yeah, it takes
different.
10 to 15 years, but some people do it quicker.
Yes. But when it's come to, for example, a real opportunity and the investor start applying for his license until he start really mining and then processing and smelting, it will take something between 5 to 10 years. What we do in ISNAD, we help the investors by the services that we offer to them. And we are using the latest technologies in terms of platform that investors can come in and apply for the license and apply also for all the declarations on the platform. And also we are using the latest technology from compliance point of view to make sure that all the sites, mining sites, are complying with the laws.
So it's financial compliance, environmental compliance,
Yes, exactly,
safety, and so forth.
So we will help them from this point, from licensing and making sure that they comply, and from the either financial or environment. And this is very important because, as I told you, we are using the latest technology, and all of it is on the platform itself. So it's easy to apply and making their business very easy. In terms of investors, we help also the investors by, attracting them to Saudi Arabia by making very clear for them all the regulations, how they, apply for the license, and also for other services that we offer to them. And this is very important for them so they can build their business case and feasibility study for any project they are willing to start in Saudi Arabia in the mining sector.
I want to talk about water. Visiting MIAD, which I mentioned yesterday, it was the day before yesterday, and I saw that they actually have the Guinness World Book of Records for the longest water pipeline from Taif to MIAD mines. And it dawned on me that obviously the water issue needs to be solved, and that's a big infrastructure cost as well. Is that your biggest worry, would you say, and biggest challenge from an ISNAD perspective?
Yes, it is very important, to have all the utility available for the mining site. And without water, there is no mining.
Yeah.
It's really very crucial. In ISNAD, what we do, as I told you, part of our business development activities is to explore the idea of supplying water to the mining facility or mining complexes by doing maybe an idea how we can make it privatized. So we can build an IBB or IWBB that can supply all the investor in one mining complex, maybe also using treated water, and then using it for the process in the mining facility. Also, we help, entertaining the idea of using maybe a closed cycle process in the water itself, so you can use it.
So you're thinking about the environmental side of
Yes.
things constantly, the water scarcity.
And this is part of our what we do in financial compliance. We make sure that all the resources that's needed for the mining facility is up to the law and standards.
Masar, there's a new way of looking at mining, and everyone's going, look, we need the critical minerals. It's going to help decarbonization, but we can't take away the fact that mining is still dirty. It's energy intensive, it's water intensive, and that's going to be a reality. So how are you guys looking at it mid to downstream? Because that's actually very energy intensive.
I think it's a very good question. Doing a business in metals is not always straightforward.
Yeah.
It's complicated, capital intensive. It required a lot of utilities. In respect to critical minerals, we just finalized our study. So we made our plan very clear and where we to go in critical minerals and how we do it in Saudi Arabia. So maybe we explore it and we take it from our our land, but some maybe we bring it from outside and we process it in Saudi. So we could be in a critical supply chain and somehow. So maybe in some metals like lithium, for example, we could go for lithium refineries in Saudi Arabia.
So you're ready for lithium refinery?
So we do lithium refinery now. We work with several investors. They are looking to explore this business in Saudi Arabia. So we work with them. We make sure that they got the right required land. They position themselves in a way they become more competitive so they can also export. So it's not only for our local market, but also they can target the export market.
So very quickly, we've basically run out of time. One last question. Do you think the way that you're positioning this, right, because you've got a plan, you know exactly how you're going to target investors, you're making it as easy as possible. Do you feel that you can be competitive on a global scale, you know, capturing that entire value chain? And I'm talking about competing against the ones that dominate, and that's over in China, yes or no?
I think in most of the commodity we can do.
Yeah?
And we are working on it. We have some investment that it's competitive and also competitive in export landscape.
So
We have what it takes to be competitive, and it's going to be a very tough competition, but we are up to it.
all right, fantastic. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Mohammed and Matar joining me today.
Thank you.
You so much.